So in this video, I wanted to give you a case study of how I helped an instructor double their income in about 20 minutes. Okay, now there's a bit of a caveat for this. This isn't going to work for everybody, okay, but it is one of the easiest fixes and one of the most common problems that I see for a lot of like kind of new jiu-jitsu schools or like smaller jiu-jitsu gyms as well. And it's such a simple fix, but can have a massive impact on your bottom line. As you might know, I've been doing like these little 20-minute calls, kind of consults with people just to help them get some clarity on their business, maybe tackle a few issues. And that's where this kind of came from. Okay, now I'm not going to mention any instructors' names or anything like that. I'm going to give it as more of a broad overview because I know it's such a common problem. So essentially, the biggest issue that most small gyms, kind of most hobbyist gyms have is that they treat their gym like a hobby. And really it has to be treated like a business. You need to have all of the same things in place. So you need to make sure that you have your like insurances, you want to have proper memberships in place, you need to have DBS checks, you need to have all the things in place that essentially a real business would have. And if you do that, it's going to make everything a lot simpler. Okay, now the problem with this gym, and a very common that I see from smaller gyms and as I say newer gyms, is that they don't put memberships properly in place. Every single one of your members should be on a monthly membership rather than a pay-as-you-go thing. Pay-as-you-go does not help anybody at all. Okay, pay-as-you-go, there's a number of different reasons which we'll get into as we kind of go through this. I don't want to ruin the whole video straight away by getting into it too quickly. So essentially the big problem this instructor was facing was they were paying like a monthly rent to rent and use a gym, and they had about 30, I think they said 30 to 40 students training. We're going to go with 30 or 35, I think is the one that I've stuck with because that's the closest that I can remember. And he basically every month he was earning around about £600 a month. That's what his revenue from teaching was coming in, but his hall hire was like 550, 600. Okay, that's not really a great equation. Essentially what that means is he's running his gym for free, okay, which is not a good place to be. Now the breakdown of his students, he had about 30 kids that were training pretty frequently, and then he had about 15 adults that were training pretty frequently as well. However, the vast majority of them were on like pay-as-you-go. So if they didn't turn up, he didn't get any income, okay, which is where the problem lies within this. So the solution is very simple. What he needs to do is he needs to take those students and put them on a monthly membership. Okay, we'll get into the numbers in a second, but essentially for all of those old members, I wouldn't recommend increasing the price or changing their membership. In fact, I would put like a price freeze on it. This is something that we had to do with our gym. When Chelsea and I like took over our gym, in case you don't know, it was set up by a white belt, kind of had not a lot of clue of what he was doing, but he just wanted a place for his kids to train. He was like an entrepreneur, had this mindset, started setting up this gym, very quickly became evident that he didn't know what he was doing, and at that kind of point, Chelsea and I came in and took it over. One of the things that he did was this issue with the pay-as-you-go memberships, and you also had people on a very low price. So for example, people were paying like £35 a month for unlimited training. Now, if you try to take someone who's paying such a small amount and jump them up to what they should be paying, which we'll get into in a second, it can be a really jarring shock, okay? And it's where you start to lose a lot of people. So what a better strategy is you get them on like either a fixed price, we call it a legacy pack for people that have been with us a long period of time, and that never changes, or it goes up with inflation. Okay, that's the other way that you can do it, because obviously, you know, inflation is something that comes into play. You know, what a pound was worth today is not what it was worth 20 years ago, and it's not what it'll be worth in 20 years' time. So that's a way that you can kind of create loyalty within your members, but you can also use it as a way to get people onto a monthly membership. You can say, you know, from, let's say February, because we're in January when I'm recording this, from February, we're going to be increasing our fees up to X, but as you're a loyal member, what I'm going to do is if you set up a standing order direct debit, which again we'll talk about in just a second, then I'm going to freeze your price for the lifetime of your contract. If you don't, come February, we're going to have to put your fees up to whatever it is monthly. What will happen is because they're paying such a low price, I guarantee that the vast majority of people will go onto that monthly membership. okay, because you're showing loyalty. You know, they came with you at this price. Okay, it's, you know, it wasn't necessarily well thought through, but you're rewarding them from being part of you, okay? And eventually, the sad state of things is the vast majority of people do stop training, and when that happens, they're filled up by someone who's going to pay the full price. So you have someone who's dropping out, or let's say they're paying like 35, I think, £40 a month, I think was what this guy was charging, and they get replaced by someone who's paying 70, 80, £100 a month. So there's quite a big difference when that happens. Okay, so that's the first thing that we have to do. The solution is get everybody on that monthly membership, and then increase our fees as well, in line with other activities. Now, this is a really easy way to see what you should be paying. Look at kids' activities. So for some reason in martial arts, people have, or generally in life, people have this thing where kids tend to be paying less, or should pay less than adults, right? You see it quite a lot, like movie tickets, for example. Kids will pay less, lots of different ways. Kind of doesn't actually make a lot of sense, because particularly from something like a coaching standpoint, it's far harder to teach kids than it is to teach adults, far more draining. And the things you actually need to have in place are a lot more challenging as well, like kids insurance, all that kind of stuff actually costs more. So kids should be paying pretty much the same as adults, in my opinion. But regardless, what you should look at doing is look at the other activities that kids participate in. So gymnastics, swimming, dance lessons, they're kind of the main ones that I can think of off the top. What are they charging per month? What's the average that they're charging a month? And if you look into it, I know I've got a child. Around here, it's about £13 per class. And often these are like 30-minute classes for that age group, 30, 45-minute classes. Anything longer than that actually goes outside of a kid's attention span, is completely pointless anyway. So that should be your base kids price program, okay, £13 per class. Now, I'm going to make this easier and say, across the country, you're going to have a broad range of different prices. Swimming lessons are going to be all over the place. You know, it's probably going to be somewhere closer between like 7 and 15. That's going to be kind of where you're at, I would say. So if we take 10 as kind of a middle ground, let's say that you've got child's training twice a week, so 2 times a week. Let's say it's a 4-week month, which is kind of the best way to work out on it, but that's again a slightly different subject. 2 times 4, so 2 times 10, that's 20 quid a week, times 4 in a month, that's 80 quid. That becomes your monthly membership for kids. Now, if your monthly membership for kids is 80 quid, your monthly membership for adults should be at least 80 quid, okay? Now you've brought it in line with the rest of the things. So we've taken this instructor's pricing from, you know, about £5 a class, I think it was charging, might have even been less than that, up to £10 a class, which is in line with the other activities that parents are going to have to pay anyway. That's kind of what they're really expecting to pay. Obviously, this is area dependent. You know, different countries have different prices. You've got to be thinking about that too. But you've brought it all in line. Okay, so we've effectively doubled his membership fee with very little extra work, you know, because as long as you're doing a good class and providing a good service, parents are already paying this, so that's what parents expect to pay. It's like a standardized thing. Oh, you know, it's 13 quid for swimming lessons, probably going to pay 13 quid for gymnastics, probably going to pay 13 quid for doing jiu-jitsu. That's just the way it is. It becomes a very easy sell. Like if you have a big discrepancy in those two things, so like, you know, swimming's 13 quid and gymnastics is 13 quid and then jiu-jitsu is, you can go either way actually. Let's say jiu-jitsu is 25, they're going to be, whoa, this is a little bit expensive. Why is this worth it? And if you do the opposite, let's say 13, 13 and 5, which is what this guy was doing, you have the same issue. You have, why is this so cheap? So these are the things that you have to think about when setting your price. Back to what we were talking about, little segue on price there. So everybody goes on the monthly membership. So he's got 35 students that you fix on a monthly membership at £40. New people go onto the new price structure. Okay, and yes, some people are going to find out what the old price structure is and it's like, well, this is what we did for our old members. We realized that we weren't charging enough. That's our legacy pack. That's because they were here a long time ago. Anybody new is either going to be paying the same as you or more. Okay, it's just a loyalty program. That's all it is. The results of all of this work, essentially, what we did is we take, without adding any new members or increasing their prices or anything, we take those 35 members, we charge them £40 a month. That means that this instructor is going to get £1,400 a month regularly, consistently, when those guys sign over to the monthly membership. That is up £800 from the £600 that he was paying before, or getting before. Okay, and it is such a simple fix. So anybody out there who's got like a smallish gym, This is the first thing that you could do. Get everybody who's currently a member on a monthly membership. You might think that you're going to get backlash. Well, what about the people who do pay-as-you-go? Honestly, they're not particularly loyal students anyway. And if anybody leaves, just fill them up with a new person, okay? Like, they aren't supporting your club. It's a really important mindset. If they're not prepared to go on like a monthly membership at their current rate, which is probably too low, they're not really a student. They're not really a good supporting member. And again, as I said, you can pretty much replace them with somebody else. Plus, on top of that, so he's got that extra, you know, £800 of income coming in a month, which means that he can either pay himself, he can do things to provide for the gym, he can increase the service to his students, whatever he needs to do. Plus, on top of that, anybody new who's coming in is now at this much more sustainable price, okay, which is a great thing to do. Now, in terms of setting up like monthly fees, there's tons of different management softwares out there. The one that we use is called Gym Desk. I'll leave a link below if you guys want to take a look at it. They're actually set up by a jiu-jitsu guy, so there's a lot of things in there which benefit jiu-jitsu gyms. So like monthly tracking, the way that sets up ranks, attendance systems, all of these things are great. That's one I would recommend. A real simple workaround is setting up a Stripe account, which you'll need for most payment processors anyway nowadays. And in there, they have a reoccurring subscription option. Okay, it is incredibly easy to set up. In fact, what I'll do is I'll drop a video of how we do it in this section. Okay, guys. So here's essentially how you're going to set up that like run and gun membership within Stripe. So you obviously have to set up a Stripe account. That's fairly self-explanatory what you'll need to do. When you come to your main dashboard here, what you need to do is you need to scroll along to products, and then you add a new product, and you start to give it a name. Let's say 2x training, right? And then you might want to give it a description as well. You can upload an image if you want to. Don't really need to do any of that. Don't need any of this stuff either. Standard pricing model, and then you go to £40, and then down here you'll see you have the option of reoccurring, which is what we want. You can do it as a one-time payment as well, but I wouldn't, we're talking about monthly memberships. You can go monthly, every 3 months, every 6 months, every year. You can go custom, but we want monthly. And save product. I've got to reconfirm my password because apparently I've been logged out for too long. And you're good to go. That is your product saved. Now all you need to do is create a payment link. And this is what your payment link will look like. I would highly recommend collecting their address and requiring a phone number as well. So this is what the form will look like. After payment, this is what the page looks like after they paid. So it's thanks for subscribing. Good to go. You could replace this with a default message. So let's see where it's stuck. You rock. Oh, let me spell rock right. Rock. And then you're good to go. Payment page is here. And then create link, boom, you are done. Copy this, and then anytime you send out an email or someone joins, you just give them to this link, boom, and it will go to this checkout page. The other cool thing you could do if you wanted to put it up in your gym so it's a little bit easier for people to find is go to a QR code generator. I can't remember which one I use. There's a free one that I use. This guy I think it is. Let me see. So you go to a QR code generator, you paste your URL in there, converts it to your QR code. You can download that, print it up, and now put it into your gym. Bob's your uncle, you now have a membership option there. That's it. That's all you need to do. And then if you had like multiple different memberships types, then you just create a new payment link for each one. Easy peasy. And then it's just they keep paying it until either their card expires, which is something you need to monitor, or they decide to quit, in which case they tell you, and you stop that membership fee. Simple. Job done. Works great. Okay, now the reason that this works is important for your business as well, this monthly membership idea, which I highlighted earlier. When you put someone on a monthly membership, if they're paying for twice a week, they are more likely to attend 2 classes a week because they've already paid for it at the start of the month. So what happens is, rather than being like, let's say they have a rough day at work and they're not on a monthly membership, they're like, I'm just not going to go training tonight because I'm so tired, or it's cold outside, you'll notice that your attendance will drop off. Just because they're not at the class doesn't mean that you should suffer. You are providing a service for them. It's up to them whether they go to it or not. okay, which is a really important thing. Regardless of whether they turn up, you need that security around having them in place. So the monthly membership, it'll encourage them to go. I've already paid for this. Okay, it's cold outside. You know what? I've paid for this class. I'm going to go anyway. And that helps everybody. It means your classes are going to get fuller. You're going to get better attention in what you're doing. Your students are going to get, the greater increase or like faster benefits from training, so they improve their health. All of those kind of things are important. So putting people on a monthly membership is a win-win. Okay, there is no downside to it. I promise you. And for anybody who's questioning about whether their students will do it, do what I said before. Look, we have to, like at the moment, there's so much like price increase stuff going on and things in the UK. It's easy just to, and it's not even a lie. Like you should be charging a fair amount for your classes. I'll do another video about that at some point. But if you say, look, from February, like our hall hire's gone up, our electricity's gone up, we have to put our prices up. Now you've been training with us for a long time. I want to show you a little bit of loyalty. So rather than doing your pay-as-you-go thing, let's set up this monthly membership. That'll help us out. It'll make sure that we're secure going forwards, and it'll lock you in at a lower price, which is great. Super simple. Everybody wins, and I guarantee you that the vast majority of people will sign up for that. Okay, so that's my advice for anybody who's got a small gym, and how you can essentially double your income in probably 20 minutes work. Okay, that was all the conversation was, about 20 minutes, and it's going to make a huge impact on this guy's business. So if you'd like my notes, as always, drop notes below and I will give you the notes. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment. Other than that, have an awesome day.